Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a really explosive and urgent set of claims made in a recent Republic World broadcast all about the West Bengal elections. Now, just to be crystal clear right up front, we aren't here to take political sides. We're simply going to unpack what this network is saying. We'll look at how they build their argument, the intense allegations they're throwing at Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, and exactly how they frame the political landscape of this massive Indian state. I mean, the broadcast literally paints a picture of a region on the brink, using some incredibly heavy-hitting language to describe what they call a Syndicate Raj. So let's just dive right into the structure of their argument and the data points they're using to make this intense case to their viewers.
Okay, let's dive into this. 92.47%. That is the massive combined voter turnout number the broadcast immediately flashes on screen. And according to the source, this isn't just a slightly high turnout, we're talking about an unprecedented level of electoral participation. The network's reporters on the ground actually attribute this specific figure to a deep urgency among voters. The anchor forcefully argues that, a number this high, it definitely doesn't represent the status quo. Instead, they say it points to a population that is highly mobilized and demanding immediate political change. This single statistic is basically the anchor for the rest of the broadcast narrative about an impending political earthquake.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the broadcast uses exit poll data to project a massive upset. So the halfway mark for the assembly sits around 147 seats, right? But the network really leans into the latest Chanakya poll predictions, and they make sure to point out that Chanakya historically underestimated the ruling Trinamool Congress, or TMC, in the past. This time around, though, the pollsters are predicting anywhere from 150 to 160 seats for the BJP, with the upper limit reaching a staggering 203 seats. The anchor uses this predicted shift as hard proof that the tide is completely turned against Mamata Banerjee, anchoring their entire argument around the idea that our political ouster is pretty much a done deal.
Section 1. A national security warning. The demographic allegation.
From there, the source pivots from polling numbers to a really severe ideological claim. They outlined a step-by-step process of alleged demographic engineering. First up, they claim the chief minister has, and I quote, absolutely opened the floodgates to Bangladeshi migrants. Second, the broadcast alleges the state administration is actively trying to get these migrants official voter ID cards. And third, and this is really the core of their accusation here, they claim this is a deliberate, calculated strategy to engineer a Muslim-majority state. Why? Simply because, according to the network, the chief minister feels politically more secure with that specific demographic makeup. To be clear, these are the explicit claims of the broadcast, presented to viewers as a systematic subversion of democracy.
And that brings us to this intense, direct quote from the anchor. This is not a political fight. There is a national security threat to it. By using this kind of language, the source is fundamentally raising the stakes for the viewer. They're basically telling their audience, hey, a vote in Bengal isn't just about local roads or state taxes anymore. It's an active, urgent national emergency. It's a really powerful rhetorical tool designed to completely strip away any idea that this is just business as usual in Indian politics.
Section 2. The mask versus reality, contrasting public image and alleged conduct.
And this brilliantly illustrates where the broadcast goes next. Having set up these national stakes, they zero in on the chief minister's public persona. On the left side here, we have the mask, Mamata Banerjee's self-proclaimed image as a peaceful person, heavily tied to that famous slogan, Ma Mati Manash, which means mother, land, and people. But over on the right is what the anchor claims is the reality. He repeatedly calls her the leader of a crime syndicate who operates through professional goons. The broadcast strongly argues that her peaceful TV appearances are just a facade, a performance by someone who, they allege, actually relies on intimidation to keep control.
To back up this claim of a violent syndicate, the source points the finger straight at the chief minister's immediate family. The broadcast claims her nephew is acting like a professional goon, openly walking around and threatening to sort people out after the 4th, which of course refers to the vote-counting day. According to the network, this isn't just some spontaneous outburst of anger. They're alleging this is premeditated, post-election violence being actively coordinated by the very top levels of the ruling family to punish anyone who voted against them.
Section 3. Scandals of the Syndicate Raj, Sandeshkhali and R.G. Carr.
Now, to prove this Syndicate Raj actually exists, the network dives into some very specific, high-profile controversies they claim to have exposed on the ground, starting with the Sandeshkhali incident and Shah Jahan Sheikh. The anchor directly calls him the chief minister's favorite goon. And what the source really emphasizes here isn't just the horrific allegations of mass rape against him, but how he acted afterward. The anchor points out that when Sheikh finally emerged, he nonchalantly waved a victory sign to the crowd. For the broadcast, this visual is everything. They argue it's absolute proof that violent criminals in the state feel completely protected and emboldened by the ruling party, just operating with zero fear of the law.
The second major scandal they highlight is the truly disturbing situation at the R.G. Carr Medical College, which the broadcast refers to as R.G. Carr. The source claims that after a horrific rape incident, the actual crime scene was intentionally vandalized. And the crucial allegation here? The anchor claims this vandalization was carried out by members of the ruling TMC party to destroy evidence. The broadcast comes down incredibly hard on the chief minister, flat out stating she did nothing while her own party members allegedly orchestrated this massive, violent cover-up.
Section 4. The human cost analyzed. State-sponsored violence allegations.
Let's move to the street level and see how this builds. The broadcast starts stacking up these really specific incidents of violence to prove this isn't just an isolated thing. They show visuals of RSS workers allegedly being attacked with stones, specifically pointing out one worker bleeding severely from the head. They describe these chaotic scenes where cops are directly confronting voters, intense clashes at Jagadal, where massive crowds literally had to be held back from breaching police station gates, and widespread violence at the Aurobindo rally. The network rapid-fires these incidents to present what they call undeniable proof of an organized campaign of terror run by the ruling party.
So the crucial point is how the broadcast anchors all these macro-political arguments in a deeply emotional human tragedy. They bring up the heartbreaking case of Nimita, an 85-year-old woman. According to the anchor, she was just lying in her bed when she was severely beaten by TMC workers, and she eventually succumbed to her injuries. Her alleged crime? Literally just being the mother of a BJP worker named Gopal. By highlighting this brutal, deeply personal story, the source is actively trying to shatter any remaining illusion of the chief minister's peaceful persona, framing the administration as totally ruthless.
And that brings us to the final, ultimate question posed by this deeply charged broadcast. We've seen exactly how the source builds its case, starting from unprecedented voter turnouts and massive poll shifts, straight through to severe allegations of demographic engineering, protected criminals, and violent crackdowns on vulnerable citizens. The network insists the game is up and the people are no longer afraid. But looking at these claims of a deeply entrenched, state-sponsored syndicate, it leaves us with a really provocative thought. If the electoral shift happens exactly as predicted, will it actually dismantle this alleged network of power, or is the region just bracing for history to violently repeat itself? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will see you next time.